Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about version 21.6 along with the new Sync Awakenings which have just gone live in North America. So, version updates are always exciting because the opportunity of new content to breathe life into older stuff is always exciting. Furthermore, with the Sync Awakenings, we now have a massive resource dump option to improve existing transforming cards. So, what are Sync Awakenings? Basically, it allows your transforming cards to potentially have a bonus awakening, almost like a super awakening, but not quite. It costs way more effort by comparison. And the idea is when you are trying to get a sync awakening, you have to have specific monsters in your box that are the required monster level and required skill level. And these are going to be extremely costly and expensive endeavors that you may want to do if you have a particular favorite card that is actually qualifying for this specific awakening. And the example of this Flamey and Bubbly here, if you have these select little bloblets at max level 120 and quite a high skill level, you will be able to unlock a special Sync Awakening. So basically all these screens here just kind of showcasing the process to do so, and afterwards you have all the required cards, you will be able to acquire this bonus Sync Awakening for a transforming card. Now, it's going to cost you 100 million coins, but the most important part is that the required monsters for the conditions will not be expended or spent after performing a Sync Awakening. That means once you have these particular cards in your box, you just keep them there forever. Don't get rid of them. And even if you swap this, say, Flamey and Bubbly back and forth between its weapon assist and its base form, you will still have the Sync Awakening, unlike Super Awakenings, which will be lost upon swapping between weapon assist form back to the base form. So this is a way to dump copious amounts of resources to gain a small little edge for your favorite cards. And I'm just going to quickly go to the Sync Awakening page just to kind of show you the couple of cards that are available aside from Flamey and Bubbly. We have Mixologist Toka, and if you are able to acquire enough of her, it doesn't tell me here, it will show you probably somewhere else. If you have enough of the resources available to spend, you can get a TPA plus on her. And that's a significant boost because when you think about it, her damage output is reliant on 4 matches. So giving her an extra boost of damage output is never going to be a bad thing, especially when dungeons start getting harder and harder and super gravity amounts become higher and higher. Oh, there they are. So basically, if you have Panera and this Divine Droplet at max skill levels and their respective max levels, you can enjoy this extra double TPA. It's quite costly, but you know what? It's a little bit more power. Same with Bartender Kurotobi. They can gain a Guard Break Awakening if they have the respective resources maxed out. And Guard Break is actually great because in addition to the Sync Awakenings, I feel like version 21.6 gave lots of love to Rainbow teams, but we'll jump back to the Rainbow team aspect a little later. Next is just mostly 7-star Godfest exclusives, and I'm just going to skim through them. Like Fagan Rai gets a Aging Awakening, which is, I guess, kind of cool. Maybe you can make some arguments that if you need 4 turns of damage penetration, he could be a little bit better. The Aging Awakening is only great if the dungeon is long enough, but again, doubling stats is always a wonderful thing. Problem is, a lot of these Godfest exclusives, I don't think I've ever actually used them in a prolonged period of time, so these Sync Awakenings are costly, and I don't think they do enough to bring them back into relevancy. Like, regular Remu, sure, you got a bunch of VDPs and you like 3x3 boxes, but is it going to be enough? You're like a pseudo orb generator of a 1 turn of a spinner and 1 turn of double movement time. I guess there are ways that if you don't have exorbitant amounts of cards to draw upon for your respective teams, you could utilize these Sync Awakenings and make them a bit stronger, but at the same time, these take so much resources up. Norza has gained Aging as well. We're going to skim through. Like, I just can't find myself utilizing these cards at this point in time anymore. They just don't do enough damage to justify all these offensive awakenings. So she has Aging. Algae, I don't remember using you at all as Algae. Maybe, I guess, if you need a 3-turn damage penetration for Rainbow, maybe you can make some arguments with the Aging and the Levitation. At least it will do damage. But like I said, these are expensive investments. This is regular Fasca, so it's not a Fasca that I've used at any particular time. Nell, Aging as well, and Flamey and Bubbly, like we've already gone over before. I think it's L Shield. And then Batty and Shiny enjoy a levitation, which I guess in theory would make them deal much more meaningful damage. And they do at least have an orb generator, so like maybe this could be worthwhile if you can find a place to utilize them, because at least their awakenings are respectably strong. They do have personal damage at least, and with levitation it's kind of somewhat guaranteed to actually have enough damage. But at this point in time, Sync Awakenings I think are extraordinarily expensive. They're going to stay extraordinarily expensive for a long time. And the part of the issue is, due to the fact that power creep jumps so quickly, there's a good chance that these cards may be completely invalidated within a brief period of time. So pursue Sync Awakenings at your own risk. Good news is they don't go away, so maybe those previously synced cards will get bonuses later on. Next up, for the quality of life stuff for version 21.6, we have the ability to perform Super Awakenings directly from the monster details screen. It's just saving you clicks. Click the thing that's now highlighting saying, push me. Just saves time. Never a bad thing to have, in all honesty. It's going to be the same image shown. And now we have buffs to various awakenings. And they are just love for rainbow-based teams. In all honesty, it just makes them much cleaner in terms of the numbers. So Guard Break now gives 3 times personal damage for the owning card, which is immense because when you think about it, most of the good rainbow cards have a Guard Break awakening. So this gives them 3 times damage. But then when you think about it, there are many other weapon assists that have Guard Break along with potentially other zesty options. So you can layer in immense amounts of personal damage through Guard Break now, especially through Guard Break weapon assists that oftentimes may have, like, say, 3 to 5 attributes tacked on or 7 combos, etc. So more damage is always nice for rainbow teams. 5 attribute has become 5 times instead of 4.5. It makes math a little bit easier. It's now 25 times when it's 2 of them instead of 20.25. 4 attributes are, take a guess, 4 times personal damage. And wait, 3 attributes, oh no, they're not shown here. I thought they were, oh, maybe they're not as high. Either way, follow-up attack and super follow-up attack now deal damage as a percentage to shields. And shields are relative, like, they are new mechanics that appear on certain encounters where they will have another bar above their health bar that needs to be depleted before you can actually start hitting the health itself. So at this point in time, I feel like the shield values are not so large that we can't actually punch through them in one turn, at least at this point in time. But the future may change that, unfortunately. So with a regular follow-up attack, you can do 20% damage to the shield, and super follow-up attack can deal up to 50% damage to the shield. And a couple of things that I need to address is that when a shield is destroyed by an attack, neither fixed damage nor percentage damage to shields will take effect. So you can only kill at most 1 shield when matching orbs. You could technically gravity down a shield all the way and then start the new one by matching and deplete that shield. But even if you match, say, a super bonus attack, say, twice somehow on 7x6, you deplete the shield regularly, you don't get the 50% twice after on the next shield. It's just a way for you to eat through extremely large shields on a single turn instead of 2 turns. You can't utilize these to eat through multiple shields in a single turn. And finally, the Damage Void Piercer Latent, or the VDP Latent if you played for a long time, it now gives 1.8 times damage cap as opposed to 1.5, which is great because most rainbow cards want to run this Latent in order to actually save yourself a headache of not needing to bring a damage penetration sub, or active skill, I should say. Dog Dragons are permanently added, so just more chances to pick up these dogs respectively. And new Ordeal Evolutions, which we're going to take a look-see here. It's Ceres and Ares, and Ceres is extremely strong. So once you do achieve her through L Hearts and the enhanced wood combos, you gain a cleric who has wonderful awakenings. You get aging, which is always a good thing because her stats can grow up to a significant amount. She has double L, which means she can take the assist recovery latent, which makes your life much happier. And then obviously if you're playing like a green team, it's going to deal potentially respectable amounts of damage. Potentially. But the big joy about Ceres is her active skill. So we need a full cleric active skill essentially in every single dungeon. When I say cleric, it means you need to have bind, well, possibly not bind, but it's more so awoken bind and unmatchable. Maybe regular bind can be tied in, but the key is awoken bind and unmatchable. You need to have those 2 abilities usually on a single card, and at a 5-turn cooldown, that's a wonderfully respectable number. I think the fastest I've seen for non-transforming is 4 turns through Halloween Shirataki, but Ceres at 5 turns is perfectly acceptable in all honesty. It's on par with the other good clerics. So we got that full cleric active, but the bigger zest comes with this auto-healing component. You heal 30% of your health for 5 turns. And this is immensely important because when you're swipe farming harder content through say pre-made boards, like either like multiple rows or 3x3s that you just swipe away, you oftentimes are not going to be healing. So you would tend to bring a card that has auto healing incorporated into their active skill, but Ceres can do that while combining a cleric on top of that. And that's important because now you're bringing 2 potentially necessary effects for a given team on a single card, which in turn opens up more team building options and compositions. Right now, I know a lot of people are utilizing the Gung Ho Alternate Journey card that creates a 3x3 box of dark orbs on a 4-turn cooldown. And because it's a 4-turn cooldown, you need 4 copies, 3 from yourself, 1 from a friend, and then you have an issue of 2 subs. You need a cleric, you need absorption, but you also need auto healing. That's 3 metrics you need to bring. Ceres solves 2 of those metrics. You have 1 left for the absorption. Your life can be much happier. Ceres is great. Pick her up. She's a Pantheon. There's a good chance you have her in her box. I think Ordeal Evolutions are one of the better quality of lives because they give all players the chance to acquire a useful card with a small amount of effort. On the flip side, Ares, I feel like, is not quite as magical. Yes, he does have the double L. He has a similar amount of offensive might purely from Awakenings, but his attack set is higher, doesn't get the aging, so technically Ceres will outpace Ares' attack stat when you actually progress through longer dungeons. But for Ares, the reason why I don't think him as important as Ceres is because Ceres is bringing the cleric, and that's something you need to have. But it's one of the few things you need to bring every single time. And Ares does give 2 times max HP, which you can make arguments is kind of like adding effective health because it doubles your health for a single turn, which is nice. You get damage cap increase, 7x6 board, so it does technically solve multiple different issues potentially, and then it is an orb changer on a 4-turn cooldown. Drawback is, can you justify the inclusion of Ares on your team? Because yes, he is doing a bunch of different useful utility effects, but is that something you can justify bringing into a team at the cost of, say, like orb generation, clericking, absorption cancellation, damage penetration if you don't rely on 3x3 boxes? Like, there are some things you need to bring that you won't be able to progress in the dungeon otherwise. And Ares is technically falling into the category of useful effects, but these are effects that you don't usually need to have in order to clear a dungeon. So I'm still going to pick one up because, again, Ordeal Evolutions are inexpensive to make, and I probably have multiple copies of Ares lying around in my box, not necessarily doing anything. So I'll make them in this form, have it waiting around. Maybe I'll find a usage for it, but if you do know a good usage for them, let me know in the comment section down below because it does help other people as well. Now, that being said, that is all the new and exciting updates that come with version 21.6. Let me know what you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, think is the most exciting in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I wish you best luck in your own pad adventures and happy puzzling.